So let me just talk a little bit more about Spotify and streaming and physical media and that whole thing. Talked a little bit about it on yesterday's video or a couple of days, whenever this video posts, but I talked about it in another video. And I want to elaborate on a few things I said, because I touched on a couple of things in that video that I want to elaborate on. In particular, when it comes to streaming music versus physical media. Because here's the thing, if truth be told, I actually do prefer physical media. I like the fact that you can have something and hold it and put it in the machine and play it, sit down and listen to it. Like back in the physical media days, I mean, the way I listen to music now is different to where I listen to music then for a lot of different reasons. But back in those days, I had time, right? I had time. So I could buy an album and I can put it on. I could do nothing but just listen to that album. Those days don't exist no more. But I like that. I liked being able to do that, to be able to just go to a shop, go through all the different stuff they have, look at this, look at that, walk around, decide what you want and make that decision. Because back in those days, you maybe had enough money to buy one, maybe two albums free if they were on sale or something like that. But you basically had a limited amount of money to buy a couple of albums maybe, right? One or two albums. And because of that, you had to choose carefully. So it was kind of a thing, you'd go there and make a day of it. Just walking around the shop, deciding what you want, whether you want to buy an album, whether you want to buy a movie, whether you want to buy something else. You really had to really think about it. So you had to take your time to just walk around the shop and decide what you want. And I ain't gonna lie, there was definitely some cheekiness going on back then as well, where, because if I can buy one album, right, and my friend bought another album, right, you make copies of it for each other and then you both have both albums, I'm not saying you should do that. Piracy is wrong, but things like that happen because we had limited funds and you wanted to listen to as much as you can. But the point I'm making is that back in those days, you had to choose carefully. You couldn't just go ahead and buy 100, 200 albums like that or whatever. You just couldn't do that. You had to choose carefully about what you wanted and also you couldn't return stuff either. Whatever you bought, that's it. You couldn't take it back to shop and return it and get your money back. You couldn't do that. Best you can do is maybe swap it for something else if it was faulty. Swap it for another copy of the same thing if it was faulty. But you couldn't get your money back, or you couldn't swap it for a different album. Some places might have allowed it, but by and large, you couldn't do that. So you really had to choose carefully. So when streaming comes along, it's a lot more convenient for the consumer, because now I'm only paying, £10-11 per month, £13, depending on which streaming your platform. You pay a set amount of money per month. And with that, you can listen to however many albums you want to, right? You can listen to one album 1 billion times, or you can listen to 1 billion albums once each. The point is, you have a lot more freedom to listen to what you want and when you want. I can be in my car, listen to music. I could be at home listening to music. I could go for a run and listen to music. I don't gotta carry around a big bag of CDs no more. Who remembers that? Or tapes. The CDs were worse though, because the CDs, if you had the portable CD player and you tried to go running with it and it just skipped all the time, it was just skipping or if you walk too fast, it would just be skipping. And you had those other CD players, the portable ones that had the anti-skip on it, but you turn it on and you can run with the anti-skip on and it won't skip, but the battery will just drain quick. You maybe get 10 minutes out of it and the battery gone. The battery just gone. So yeah, the fact that you could just have your phone, you don't even need a separate MP3 player anymore. You just got your phone and you can literally be anywhere and listen to whatever you want, when you want, and all you pay is your $11.99, $12.99, whatever per month. And, that's it. It is much more consumer friendly. However, I get it. It's not always fair for the artists, especially for smaller artists who don't get that many listeners, because the way Spotify works is that they basically take all their subscription fees, right? All their whatever $11.99 per month. They minus all their, their taxes, their running costs, their, business, there's pay, staff pay, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Then out of what's left over for the, say, artist money, they then divide that by whichever artist got, if your streams made up 10% of their total streams, you get 10% of that money. If your streams made up 5% of their total streams, you get 5% of the money. Basically works like that. And it averages out to about a third of a penny to about a half a penny, give or take. That's probably going to get smaller as time goes on, to be honest, but that's what it generally averages out to, about a third of a penny to a half a penny per stream. So yeah, for smaller artists, for independent artists, it's tough because you may not even get enough streams to even qualify to get anything when you're an independent artist if you just started out. So it is tough. But for the bigger artists, it's actually a better system financially, because if I bought a CD, the artist gets about 50p of that, right? Now, I can listen to that CD once, I can listen to that CD 100 times, or I can listen to that CD however many times, but the artist gets that 50p. Now, the artist gets, okay, it's a third of a penny for a stream, but I'm listening to that album maybe at least 100 times. Because whereas before, I'd have to think about, okay, I need to be maybe at home so I can listen to it without the CD skipping. I can't be out running. You know, back then I wasn't driving, but for people who were, I guess you can listen to it in your car. But then you had to think about, okay, what you're carrying around with you. Like I say, it was a physical media. So you had to decide which CDs you take with you, which CDs you leave at home. But yeah, however many times I listen to that album, if it's a good album that I might want to listen to loads of times, however many times I listen to it, they just get at 50p. But now, if I'm listening to an album, listen to a song, listen to whatever, and I really like it, I could just hit repeat and it's just playing over and over and over again. I'm not worried about, oh, I have to be here, I have to be there. I can go out running and just put it on. I can go wherever I'm going and put it on. I can be in my car, I can be walking, I can be here, I can be there, I can be at home. You know, depending on where you work or what type of job you do, you might even be at work and just have your music on playing there as well. The point is you can just like literally be anywhere and play it on repeat over and over and over and over again. Because the consumer isn't paying per stream. The consumer isn't paying for how many, they're just paying for that 1 monthly subscription. So I'm not concerned about how many times I listen to it. I'm paying the same fee anyway, right? But for artists, especially bigger artists, that now half a penny or third of a penny per stream, that gets times by, let's say, over the course of a year, you could probably listen to an album that you like easily 1,000 times over the course of a year, just because you hit repeat and just let it play. You might walk out the room and leave it playing and come back. You know what I mean? Like, the way we listen to music now is different to the way we listen to music, 30 years ago. So yeah, I get it for some artists, especially smaller artists, it sucks. But for the bigger artists out there, they're actually making more money than they did from album sales. So like I said before, if you want to support an artist, especially when it comes to independent artists, you should still stream their music because that helps something. They might be getting a penny from it, but it's better than nothing. But yeah, buy their CDs as well. Buy their vinyl if they got it. Buy their t-shirts, buy their coffee mugs or whatever. Go to their shows. But let's keep it real. We're not going back to physical media, at least not in a big way. Like, for me, I like to buy vinyl pieces from time to time. I find that these days, since I've been streaming music, I like to sometimes buy vinyl pieces for artists that I really like. But I don't really listen to vinyl. I mean, I have a record player and I do listen to it from time to time. But like I said before, I don't really have that time anymore where you could just sit down and just listen to an album and do nothing else, which vinyl kind of requires. So yeah, we're not going back to physical media in any big way. I don't think physical media is going away. I think there's always going to be a market for it, especially things like vinyl. But we're not going back to that in any big way. Let's not pretend we're not. Streaming is way too convenient for the consumer for us to really consider going back to physical media. But everything has its downsides, and especially when it comes to independent artists who aren't getting that much from it. So yeah, if there's an artist that you really like, especially an independent artist that you really like, that's maybe up and coming, just starting out, buy their CDs, go to their shows, buy their merchandise. Not everybody is making millions and millions out of this. It's really just a few big artists that are making a lion's share of the money from these streaming platforms. Maybe some of the more popular independent artists are making a little bit of coin as well. But best believe that local band that you saw performing a couple of days ago in an open mic, they ain't making no money from these streaming platforms. So yeah, if you like them, if you want to support them, if you want to see them do well, buy their CDs, buy their merchandise, turn up at their shows. But let's not pretend we're going back to physical media.